clearly it's a wake-up call to multinational groups to look at their historic tax rulings and decide whether or not they are potentially attackable under the state aid principles. It's clear, to the extent it wasn't clear already, that the Commission are going to look at rulings and to see whether or not they are state aid, whether or not there's counteraction should be taken. A multinational now which has one of these rulings should go back. Well, first of all, it should look in its locker, see whether it's got one of these rulings, and then to see whether or not that is potentially vulnerable. And if so, what do they do about it? Do they prepare the justification for the ruling that they had initially? Should they restructure their operations? There's lots of things that potentially they could do, but until they've actually gone back and seen whether or not they are vulnerable, there's a sort of blank canvas, as it were. The simple answer is we don't know. There's two polarised views here. There's the Commission's point of view, which is to say that state aid is a concept that has existed for a long time, and it's clear from historic case law that they can apply it to rulings and apply it to individual companies, and the regulation clearly says that they can go back. On the other hand, there's the principle of legal certainty. Is a company that has come in, negotiated a ruling in good faith with a particular tax authority, it would say that it should be able to have certainty as to how it should be taxed, what its effective tax rate should be. Now, those two views, the European Court of Justice is eventually going to have to determine which view is correct and whether the Commission are overstepping their powers and whether, frankly, the measures they're taking are justified. But how long that will take is anybody's guess. People have commented it could take 5-10 years. We just don't know, because up to now there are 5 or 6 companies that are potentially in the headlines for being attacked under this, but there could be more. It will take some time for the jurisprudence really to be clear as to what can and can't be done. Well, I think there's two potential. There's obviously the whole question of the UK's participation in this is uncertain because of Brexit. And that's not going to be resolved until the UK has served its Article 50 notice and until the terms of our departure from the European Union have been agreed. So the UK is slightly in a space of its own. For other companies looking to relocate elsewhere in Europe, there is a period of uncertainty, because until that jurisprudence is clear, until whether the boundaries of state aid are determined by a court, there has to be an element of uncertainty as to how they will be taxed. Now, many companies will say, we're clear, we've taken good professional advice, we're clear whatever we're doing is a valid ruling and cannot be attacked under state aid. And if you're in that position, there is no uncertainty. Well, there's always a residual uncertainty as to whether that advice is correct, but you can make yourself pretty safe on that ground.